Back at it here, Mark Abrams and Glenn Foley back. This is Glenn. This is the best time of the year. We got I see you, the Seattle Seahawks, your former team. We got Major League Baseball starting. We got the NCAA tournament. We got the NBA. We'll talk about that another time. And the football hot stove league. And then we have a special story at the end with you. You playing golf with a Hall of Famer, but it's not the Hall of Famer you would think.
He's a Hall of Famer in my mind.
So, but let's get started. The reason why I'm like real tired, last couple of days, I've got up at like 5 o'clock in the morning to watch baseball, Major League opening day in Korea. I remember growing up, the Cincinnati Reds were always the first game of the year. You know, there was pageantry. Teams were lining up on the first and third baseline, big American flag in center field, the national anthem. That smells like opening day to me. Opening day now in Korea. Come on.
I want a day game in somewhere warm, just to start the season off right. It just reeks of worldwide money, currency. So they're trying to make it worldwide. The NFL's going to Europe. The NFL's they went to Germany this year. They're going somewhere else next year. So they're trying to make it worldwide. The money they make in this country and with the gambling and with the revenue is not enough.
Can you imagine opening day, Kansas City, and whoever playing in, like you said, Brazil? I mean, seriously. I mean, it's still a game. Everyone would be excited about it. Well, first of all, it wouldn't start at 6 o'clock in the morning, Eastern time.
Everything's about the big, mighty dollar and power and greed. So any way you look at it, you can say, "Oh, this doesn't make any sense." And ultimately, it sucks for the players. The players, once camp is over, they like to hunker down, go from point A to point B after practice because they're exhausted, get rest, and go through their routine. And they have a 20, 30-week routine they go through once the season starts. And it's like, okay, if you send me to Germany or to England or somewhere else to play, you're cramping the whole thing. It's like a runner or someone who's in boxing train, boxing. If you disrupt a boxer's training session by a week, you're gonna mess them up pretty good. So the same thing with football. That's why they give these guys a week off when they come back, usually, which I think is a great addition to playing overseas.
Yeah, you imagine being a Dodger or even a Padre fan. They're both in the same time zone. You're all excited. You're a big baseball fan. It's opening day. Can't wait to watch my team play at 3 o'clock in the morning. Seriously.
It's 3 in California?
You will. The game started at 6 a.m.
Yeah, you just Stay up for that, though. That's as a young kid, you love it. As old, crunchy, decrepit, dying people, we don't like it so much. But although
I'm just saying, I would be excited. We have our 105, starting time. The teams are lining up on the baselines. The whole team gets announced. The flyover with especially in Philadelphia, they got the guys flying out of the helicopters, drop out of the planes, and dropping the ball to the fanatic at like third base. That's opening day to me.
No, I agree. Was the Phillies-Orioles game, was that a real season game, or was that the last?
No. Everyone else now starts next Thursday, and then the Dodgers and Padres can play next Thursday. I don't think they're playing each other, but they're they'll have their quote opening days, their American opening days in. And that's another thing. That's a good point you just made. They're playing games that count, while everyone else is still in Florida and Arizona playing games that don't count. And they're going to continue to do that through the weekend and everything.
That's all right. They were probably allowed to show up earlier. Although guys are in baseball, you got to stay in shape year round, like any other sport. You got to stay in shape year round, and you got to keep your arm live and active year round, even though you do need rest. So baseball's a little bit different, and then like they do for the Hall of Fame game, those teams will report early. So that's kind of how they make it up.
So that leads us to the guy who was the big star of the game. Well, not so much the star, but he was the big name of those games in Korea. Shohei Ohtani. We're not going to talk about what he did or didn't do on the field. Yesterday came out his interpreter who he's with a lot of the time. They just had the an interpreter on who had some Korean players. He's with this guy. He said, what else do you? He goes, the media stuff for Ohtani and the interpreter is the easy part. This guy's taking him all over the place, set up his bank accounts, his driver's license, all the stuff that he needs an interpreter for. So it turns out Ohtani's interpreter, there was a wire transfer from Ohtani's bank to the interpreter for $4.5 million, and it turns out it came from gambling debts.
No, beautiful. What did he have Ohtani's signature and his?
Well, here's the thing that makes it a little fishy. Yesterday, Ohtani people apparently said that the money was wired to him for these gambling debts, and then they did a quick 180 and said, "No, I'm a victim of like some kind of fraud going on." Once I guess they realized what the veracity of the situation was.
Well, I mean, if he's taking money from, I don't know how it works when you get the player when you get they have these country contracts, don't they? Where you pay the Major League Baseball pays the country, and then the country gets X amount of the players' contracts. I know that happens in certain countries, but yeah, I mean, if Ohtani's gambling $4 or $5 million a year, that's no big deal.
Well, the thing is, this guy's down $4.5 million. What could he be making? A couple $100,000 a year?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Is he taking the fault for Ohtani's gambling habits, which is probably not honorable? Yeah, he may be assumed to have no honor back in his homeland if he's ripping $4 million on horses or football games, and on top of it, were they baseball games?
Well,
they Pete Rose.
You saw how they figured this out. I guess this gambling ring got investigated, and that's how these names appeared. So,
well, I mean, when it sounds shady to get $4.5 million to the interpreter, which is an easy way of saying, okay, Ohtani, what are you doing? What are you really doing behind the scenes? Is it for steroids? Is it for gambling? Is it for girls? Is it for what? I mean, what are we doing in America that we can't be doing he's from Japan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you doing in America? There's not much you can do in America you can't do in Japan, but I don't know how about gambling. So it could be. It's more or less if I'm investigating, it's Ohtani's money, and Ohtani's the one that's gambling.
Well, the two things that raised your questions here, the amount of money, it's $4.5 million. Like I said, I don't know. Maybe this interpreter is the richest interpreter in the world, and he's the heir to like Toyota or something in Japan. Or, and the other thing is
maybe he misinterpreted the currency rate.
So we'll see how that plays out during the summer with Shohei Ohtani.
He's fine. They're not. He's the best player in the world. They're not.
That's great. And Pete Rose was the hit king.
Yeah. How about? Yeah, I know, but the hit king was hateful. So, and the hit kid would spike the ball in Philly after an out at first base, and people wanted to kill him for that. And he was just a hateful guy. He was a caveman. Ohtani's not, and he's the savior right now. So what you're going to do is, if anything, you're going to see. From the interpreter. I sorry. I make mistake. The Baroon was not my fault, and I took the $4 million and gambled it all away on girls and hookers in Vegas. And then he's going to be fired, and then we'll get another interpreter.
Well, they already did fire him.
Yeah,
they fired him all. I mean, that's be a long, lonely flight back to LA from Korea. So I'm sure he's not traveling with the team.
No, he'll have them girls next to him.
We're right at the end of what we call the NFL Hot Stove League, the free agency, all the trades, Glenn. Just we'll just maybe just talk about the quarterbacks here. Kirk Cousins getting all that money. I guess the other thing was, the Justin Fields trade. What other things stood out to you, especially for the quarterbacks over the last week, 10 days in the National Football League?
Yeah, Caleb Christ
And
is
we'll
my
get to
is my.
him.
He he vaulted ahead of every quarterback I've ever seen coming out. And he's being treated that way. They're not. The weird thing is to not want to play in Chicago is just asinine because that
No,
Chicago.
no. My favorite thing about the whole thing, the father wants ownership, wants a piece of the team.
Yeah, the kid on average may play 10 years, and the Chicago Bears are going to last another 300.
Yeah,
So Caleb
he
can
wants
go swim in
equity
the
in the
water.
Bears. You believe that?
No, but it's all. I think I don't blame them. It's part of their bargaining chips. You go high, go for the gut, and then once they bring you down to earth, don't you absolutely play in Chicago. That place is awesome. By the way, I'm 2-0 lifetime there as a starter. I don't know if I mentioned that.
Let me ask you, you use the term Caleb Christ. Why that? I mean, is that
Well,
something you believe, or you think he's just being annoyed? He's being anointed
oh,
already.
he's anointed, yeah, and he's got. He reminds me, and I hate to even say this, he reminds me of Patrick Mahomes, but with not just in field speed, but
Ooh,
um, he's faster than Mahomes. He's
Glenn,
quicker than Mahomes,
oh,
and he has.
Glenn, you're at the end of that Woodcrest pool diving board, and
I know, I know. I'm just
there's no
saying. I'm
water
not
to
saying
save
he's
you.
going. I'm not saying he's going to be like I was. I was actually in my. And Trevor Lawrence isn't a total bust, but I had him ranked up in the top 3 or 4 of all time, which is ultimately a bust call because he's not. And I'm seeing some of the flaws in his game once he gets in the NFL. He's just slow. He's slow to release the ball, but this kid's not. I watched him. I didn't watch him enough with the year he won the Heisman, but then I watched him in a few games his senior year, and I was like, oh, okay, now I see he could. He throws so quick from the shotgun from all angles. So all the RPO stuff and the copycat way of the NFL, he's perfect. I mean, the most perfect early quarterback to start game one that I've seen since
Wow,
Peyton Manning and
wow.
Elway and Luck and all these guys. I put him right up there, 1A, B, C, D. So he's bound for Super Bowl one, if not multiple.
So if you went to church and you saw Caleb, as the priest or talk about Caleb, well, I almost call him Caleb Williams in a biblical term, you're all for it.
Just from the maturity level, his athletic ability, his ability to throw from every angle, Kent to Colby to over the top Doc Gooden. He can do it all, and he's got great athletic ability. He's got great speed. I don't know what his 40 is going to be at his pro day. I'm thinking anywhere between 4.49 to 5 to 4.6, something like that. But he's fast. Mahomes is probably a 4.8 or 4.9 guy, where this kid once he breaks, contain, he's more of a threat like a Fields or a Kyler Murray than he is a Mahomes.
Real quickly, Eddie, I just thought of something. This is something that we didn't have on the agenda here. You mentioned about the pro day. What do you make of Marvin Harrison Jr. not even working out at his pro day at Ohio State? Usually, they don't work if they don't work the combines. They want to run on their own track, have their own quarterbacks throw them the ball. You think that's going to be he's the first one that I remember who wasn't injured, who did not work out at his pro day. A guy who's going to be a high pick. You think he's going to now set a trend for players in the future that I'm supposed to be picked in the top 5, top 7, top 3, whatever. I'm not doing anything.
Well, I hated the combine for one simple fact: if you're gonna HIPAA rules are there for a reason. And so, and I'm not saying HIPAA should apply to the NFL, blah blah blah. But don't start spewing out guys' weight and height and what's wrong with them, and if there's just have the NFL do their the way it's almost like uh, they do your health by committee. So it's like, okay, they'll send you here. Then the one knee person will send you to this knee person. I had a healthy knee and had to see 4 doctors, take an MRI, and then the doctors have egos and treat you like crap. So um, if
Well,
I
but there have been a lot of prospects who don't even do that at the combine, or maybe they just do the health thing and don't work out. because they want to wait to work out on their home turf in their home.
Yeah.
And Harrison, I mean, I'm sure he's not the first kind of healthy player not to not work out at his home thing, but it raised some questions maybe for some teams that why don't you want to work out for us?
No, he's high enough ranked and good enough to be like just look at my film, but I'm not taking. I would just make it universal across the league. Everyone should be on the same page and say, listen, if you don't take a physical just to make sure that you don't have any hamstrings or quads or groins, and we need to see you run a 40. We don't need you to sort of work out and run and catch balls and have someone say, oh, you dropped 3 balls. Okay, we don't need that. But we need to see you run a 40. We need to see you run some X, Y, and Z cone drills just to make sure that you're not hurt. We can't draft. We can't give you, your rookie contract, and then after a couple of years, give you $100 million, and find out you have a hamstring that's 85%. So that's kind of why you have to do it, more so than it could cost me a few spots too, because now you got the kids from Washington and kid from LSU that are creeping on them. So you don't want to lose. You don't want to lose that second or third spot in the draft either.
Glenn, what do you think a lot of American sports fans and non-sports fans have been doing over the last 2-3 days?
Over the last just what in general?
Yeah. What do you? I mean, what do you think that has been on their mind the last 2-3 days?
Scotty Scheffler and his neck.
They've been filling out their brackets.
Scotty Scheffler. I always said golfers play better with stiff necks because it keeps you still.
Glenn, did you fill a bracket?
I am in the process of doing that.
As of taping, we got 80 minutes to finish. So
yeah, I'll crank it out. I sometimes go by mascot, regional mascots, and then I like the intensity night in and night out of UConn, and I love Hurley. I'm taking UConn to win it just because I love Hurley. The other top teams are so erratic that. How about the Big East? The only conference I follow is the Big East because I grew up in the Big East and throwing the streamers at the Big 5 games at the Berkshire. So whenever I was following St. John's with Patino. So and then 3 got in. With UConn being number 1 most of the year, that's absurd.
You made a great point about something, and you as a former highly acclaimed collegiate athlete, and I'm sure. I mean, we can beat this. I'm sure it's going to be a topic of other shows that we have. There's 2 things that are going on in college sports that you didn't have, and you didn't have the luxury to have: transfer portal and the NIL money.
Oof.
That's why there's no great teams, because guys are, they're not playing at a good school, they're gone. Or if they're playing, say they're at a good school and could, a blue blood school. I don't want to name any school, particularly the Kentucky's, the Kansas, North Carolina, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We got boosters. We got $100,000 for you. We got 500. Caitlin Clark is making millions.
No, I know, but ultimately, we're at the beginning, like the .com boom and bubble, this AI, the artificial intelligence stuff that's going on now. It's new, so what they're going to do is they'll massage it out. What they need to do, though, is they need to separate the top money-making conferences. If you're oil money, if you're Texas A&M, SEC schools that have, and you can only use. I mean, I don't know. You got to cap it at some point. You can't have an alumni base that's worth $14 trillion. That cares about football to try to compete against the most competitive other teams that are working with 150 billion and whatever the numbers are. So the T. Boone Pickens, the major gasoline and energy people
Pickens, if people don't know, he he basically owns Oklahoma State. I mean, he
Yeah.
just
So you're going to see the teams with the gas, the oil money, and the richest schools, but they should also be separated into, okay, top NIL 1, NIL 2, NIL 3.
and that's going to defeat the purpose of this March Madness that we all love when St. Peter's makes their run, or one of these coastal Carolinas make their run, or
Oh no,
whoever.
but here's my that. But when you get into the tournaments, all the NIL money for every player quadruples, and then the kids that weren't getting anything automatically get 20, 30, 40, 50,000.
The perfect example is a kid named Max Asmus who played at Oral Roberts. They won a couple games a couple years ago. He lit it up, had 30-point games in the tournament. Played last year at Oral Roberts. He's back in the tournament with Texas.
Right.
And that's another thing. You may fall in love with a team that maybe they have this one player who's a stud at one of these smaller schools, Oral Roberts or whoever, and then the next year you're going to see him playing at Kansas.
And teams like A&M who hired Jimbo Fisher a year to $100 million or whatever. A year later, they just buy him out. And it's like, oh, no big deal. They're worth trillions. So they just took Trev Alberts from Nebraska.
Yes.
To Texas A&M and gave him, who knows, over $100 million. Well, you have to take that as a former football player failed basically with Trev, because I think
and now you're dealing with 19-year-old kids that they're going to go. I mean, basically, college sports is now free agency with tampering. Howie Roseman.
No, free agency.
Howie Roseman would be great college.
Free agency now starts on the athlete's 18th birthday.
Yeah,
because you can send. I'm always from this one. I'll die. I'll go to my grave with this one. If you turn 18 and can get drafted and go off to war, you can make money, as much money as you freaking want.
Yeah.
Once you're 18, don't tell me when I'm 18 I can't. I have to go to college. No, I'm going to, like Moses Malone. I'm going right to the NBA.
Real quickly. I mean, and it was 30 plus years ago, and you already had a lot of ties to Boston College, so maybe you were going to go there, stay there, or whatever. But I would imagine the NIL and the transfer would have came a calling for you at some point.
Oh, I was before they had the top 300. I was paraded All-American, and there was like 10 quarterbacks on there, and I was one of them, and probably the best, maybe top 2. It was me, Rick Meyer, Jake Kelchner, I think was on there, but a bunch of nobodies. And so I was All-American coming out of high school. I would have went. I was going to Miami, Ohio State, whoever paid the most back, if it was an NIL deal. If someone offered me $3 million plus all
let me ask you this: you played. I remember you played your first year at BC. You guys were 4-7 or something. I remember talking after. You guys weren't a great team. You got your ass kicked a little bit. But obviously you showed the potential. And other schools would have seen it. So after if Ohio State would have lost their quarterback and after their freshman year, they would have said, you know what, Glenn, we like you.
That would have been
as Fat Albert would say, hey, come my way. Would you be?
Well, no, I would have been out the minute Tom Coughlin showed up on campus. I would have dove into the portal. I would have went ahead, and I would have brought half my team with me.
I guess Tom Coughlin now has been checked off the potential guest list, I think, for this show.
Oh no, he's fine. He's fine. We have mutual love and hate for each other. No, he was that. I had no problem with Coughlin, and was never disciplined by Coughlin. And we respected each other. He was the good thing about Coughlin. He was consistent. You knew where he was going to be. He knew where you were going to be, and as long as you didn't break his rules, you never had a problem with him. Whereas Mike Holmgren, what a fucking slapdick he was. We would have practice, and then we would have a 7:00 meeting where Coughlin and Parcells and Pete Carroll, all the best coaches I played for, Belichick, they would at 7:00 at 2 of 7 be at the podium. 7:05 shows Mike Holmgren's riding his motorcycle somewhere in the hills of Seattle, and he didn't show up. He wouldn't show up for meetings at night. It was incredible. He just would no show.
So we'll go to our last topic, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk some real sports for a little bit, and me and Glenn, especially Glenn Hayes, got all kinds of crazy stories growing up. Talk about playing golf with former WWF superstar Sergeant Slaughter.
I'll tell you what, the great Sarge, we played down at Dan Marino's. Dan Marino's golf tournament was unbelievable. I actually played down there with the former President Don J. Trump.
Did Slaughter call you a maggot scum?
No, he was a fairway over, and he was walking down in his fatigues with his big black his combat boots on, and
he was playing golf in his combat boots.
Oh yeah, and fatigues. Oh. He had a wife beater like fatigue on. I don't know if that's politically correct, but he had the green wife beater, the full fatigues down to the ankle with the black boots, walking the fairway. And I was like, "Yo, Sarge, next time you hit a ball like that, I'm going to come over there and give you the Cobra clutch and declare you dead." And then on top of it, I'll take $25,000 to escape your Cobra clutch.
I remember the Cobra Clutch challenge. What was he hawking his G.I. Joe characters too?
Not at that tournament. The Marino tournament was very, very laid back, and no cameras were allowed. This was in the late 90s. It was a great tournament. Mario Lemieux hates me because my caddy didn't know what he was doing, and I tin cupped about 14 balls in the water on one hole.
Oh,
my
wow.
caddy was stealing Mario's balls, and I didn't know.
You can't piss off Mario Lemieux. I mean, that's
Mario Lemieux. You know what? I hated him when he played against the Flyers.
Well, yeah, but I love watching him play. He
was great. One of the greatest of all time. Him and Jaromir. And we had the with the Legion of Doom. We had
Yager's still playing somewhere.
They just retired his number. Someone stole his bobbleheads. You see that?
Yeah, I saw that. But I think he was playing up until like 2-3 years ago in the NHL, and he's 50 years old.
Yeah. It's like he's
like I do believe he's still playing in the Czech league professionally.
Yeah, he went. He left the NHL, went and played with some other. Then he came back, didn't he? For a year.
Yeah,
he might have skated again to retire. I think he warmed up with the Penguins the night he retired. I think that's what it was.
Well, there we did. We did almost 30 minutes. So it's almost perfect. It's like your favorite show, your favorite Saturday morning cartoon. 30 minutes.
And I'm going to come at you in the next couple episodes with my new. I went on a blinding. I blacked out and went on a sneaker binge. I'm now a sneaker guy.
There you go. We'll go through. We'll rummage through your closet.
We'll rummage through a pair an episode. I gotta have to bust out the Phillies too because when do they open? Tomorrow? Tonight?
Thursday. Next Thursday.
Thursday we'll do.
What do you think? What do you think? They're playing a doubleheader in Korea now?
No, but we'll do Thursday, and I'll be in my Bryce Harper shirt with my Phillies Nike Dunks on.
Well, there you have it, Glenn. Everyone enjoy the NCAA tournament. Maybe we'll be back tomorrow, next day, whatever. But
I got Creighton to win it all, by the way.
There you go, Creighton. We just said UConn. Who are you taking? Everyone the Big East now?
Well, those two, Big East. Well, I'm just pissed.
I have two bets today, by the way. 2 bets. Take Washington State +1 and South Carolina +1.5.
I wish I should have looked at the brackets, but Creighton and Nova, are they in the same side? Are they going to face each other?
Villanova's in the NIT tournament.
Not Nova. I meant
UConn. I don't know. I just fill them out.
Watch them. UConn. They're gonna represent the East, and it'll be at some point will it be the Elite Eight, Final Four, or the final? It's going to be Creighton Nova.
There you have it. Talk to you soon, Glenn. Talk to everyone out there. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you see Sergeant Slaughter out on the golf course, give him a couple strokes.
I'm going to give him a Cobra clutch, and then I'm going to give him a suplex into the sand track.
There you got it. We out.